Hello, welcome to today's show. This is the Building Consultants Show. My name is Sam Wanyoike. I'm your host. This is where we seek to educate, challenge, and inspire you on your journey of construction. I want to talk about this. What is this? Maybe you have seen these kind of items in various buildings and you wouldn't know what to call it. Some people call it pillars, but in construction term, this is called a column. A column is used to support the building. It's like a transportation medium that carries every weight of the building to the foundation. I've said in another video that ultimately every load and every weight of the building shall rest on the ground. And so it is important to have it be prepared or to be designed in such a manner that it will safely be transported or taken to the ground. This is done using especially the pillars or the columns. In other cases, walling can also be used to support the house and take the weight to the foundation. For high-rise buildings especially, only the pillars will be considered for transmission of the load from the house to the foundation. Columns are designed in such a manner that they are able to not only carry the load to the ground, but also be able to resist any kind of failure that might result out of it. This is done by having concrete that is reinforced with bars. How do you prepare a column? After you have finished your foundation, or before you do your foundation, the reinforcement of the column needs to be done with the foundation base of the column. The foundation base of the column is the bed on which the column is positioned. So the reinforcement is first set and then the concrete is poured. The concrete will take shape based on the molding that is done around it using the either timber formwork or other kind of material formwork. There are a few things that I want to talk about that will be very important for us to understand when you are doing your column in order to ensure that the column is done in the right way. First thing, at any particular level, before you do your column, the first thing that you do once you have done your slab is to provide what we call a kicker. A kicker is a small layer of concrete that is done at the base, at the lower level of the column, that is just adjusted just after the slab is done, and this helps in order to position the column in its rightful place. So once the kicker is done, it will be very easy for the formwork to be properly positioned. So the kicker is very important in terms of positioning the column, because columns need to be vertically aligned from the top to the bottom in order for the structure to remain stable. Remember, we said that columns is what transmits the load from the top to the down to the foundation. The second thing that is very important is that before you pour concrete around the reinforcement, you need to put what we call spacer blocks. Spacer blocks, so the spacer blocks are prepared by mixing cement and sand, but in just like in mortar, but in this particular case the amount of cement needs to be more so that the spacer blocks are strong enough. Where do you put these spacer blocks? In the column. So we have already informed that at the lower level of the column we have already done the kicker. The kicker is usually done before the column formwork is done. So once you have the kicker at the bottom, then the spacer blocks need to be put round the column, the four faces of the column, at the middle level and at the top, so that the reinforcement also remains vertically aligned, besides being inside the concrete, safe from water and any instance of fire. The spacers are usually tied to the rings. Rings are the horizontal reinforcement that are done around the main bars of the column. The vertical bars of the column are the main bars that support the load of the column. The horizontal rings help to tie in those main bars together and to prevent from failure of the column due to what we call shear. How do you determine the size of column, and how many columns might you need in your house? Well, the sizing of the column and the determination of position will depend on house to house cases. It is very important for you to seek the services of an engineer who will help in designing a column. But typically, for a very small house, maybe a single dwelling house, you can adopt a very simple, a small size of column, say a 300 by 200 column, thereabout, with 4 bars of T12 or T16. The number of columns that will be needed will also depend with the sensitivity of the house. So in a nutshell, it will be very important to seek the consultancy services of an engineer in order to be able to determine not only the size but the number of columns that you need for your house. In order to ensure that the column is vertically aligned and in its position, then once you've done your formwork, then you will need to hold the columns or the formwork tightly to the ground, that the column, once the concrete is being poured and being vibrated, it will be in its rightful position. When pouring concrete, it is important for you to do adequate vibration of the concrete. What I mean is, from the bottom of the concrete to the point where you are doing the level of the concrete of the column, the vibration should be done continually. This will help to remove any kind of honeycombs that might result. It also helps to compact the column in order to be strong. When column needs to be connected to the wall, you will need to provide hoop iron inside the column that will be used to connect to the wall. The purpose of the hoop iron is to prevent any form of crack that might result between the wall and the column. So that is what we have for today. Thank you for tuning in. Kindly subscribe, like the video, and share widely as we continue to give you more of this. Thank you.